to another episode of the Bearded Goods Podcast. My name is Brandon Smith. Today, my guest is a great friend and up-and-coming comedian in the Raleigh scene, Boney. He's been putting in a lot of the hard work, and it's really starting to pay off. We'll get into that and a whole lot more on this episode of The Bearded Goods. All right. Today we got Boney in the house with me today. Well, in the virtual studio with me today. Like I said in the intro, he's an up-and-coming comedian in the Raleigh scene. We'll jump into a lot of stuff with him. But how you doing today, man?
Man, I can't call it, man. If I try, I might spoil it, man.
I hear you. So, you've got a lot of new stuff going on. Let's get into some of that, man. You've been hosting a lot at the Improv. You've got a new podcast out. Let's jump into that, man. Let's talk about the podcast first. It's called The Slice.
The Slice, yeah. So it's a funny story. Me and my boy Teron, we went to this. I had to perform at the Roast of Raleigh. I'm sorry, the Roast of 2022. Of course, Teron, he came through the support, and we were leaving. I was like, "Hey, man, I was hungry." I was like, "Let's get a slice." There's only one place.
We're always hungry after the shows, man. Always hungry.
Right, and I'm always hungry after the show.
Yeah.
And and there's only one place to really get a slice in downtown Raleigh. That's Benny's. So we go to Benny's and we're getting a slice, and we're like, we're talking the next day. I'm like, that spot would be the perfect place to have a hangout style podcast, right? So I like we can just get like one of the comics in the area. We have a slice and we find out, just talk about comedy. So I talk a lot. I talk a lot of junk. I give out ideas, but I never follow through. That's my biggest weakness, is my follow through. So Teron, he was like, "Yeah, that sounds like a good idea, whatever." So then, like a couple days later, he's like, "Hey, so I'm thinking about talking to the people at the spot. We're gonna see if they can do it." I was like, "Oh,
let me tell you something about Teron, because I've gone into little things with him too. You throw out an idea, he is a doer. He will make stuff happen. He will make stuff happen. Yeah.
So I was like, "Oh wow, so you're gonna talk about the podcast idea?" He was like, "Yeah." So then he hits me up later afternoon, like, "Yeah, we got the spot." I was like, "So this is happening?" He was like, "Yeah." I was like, "Okay, well, So then he was like, a couple of days later, he was like, "All right, so I'm going to go shoot some beef footage downtown Raleigh and get us walking in and stuff like that. Can you be out there about 6:00 Thursday?" And I was like, "Yeah." So it was so crazy because typically when I have any sort of idea that I actually put in action, it's 100% me.
Right.
But like he was just knocking out each thing that needed to be done, and he made it seem so easy. Like, oh, it just takes effort, but it's actually a simple process. You map out what you need to do, and then you do each of those things that you need to do. And I know it sounds so basic and so easy.
Look, when you have the idea, when you have just the idea and you're sitting there with just the idea and everything seems insurmountable.
Yeah.
Because you're an ideas guy. But when you have somebody like Teron who's like, "All right, here's your idea, here's how we make it happen," you're like, "Oh, it's not that hard."
Right.
It's just I got to do this, and this, and then we got it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So next thing you know, we're sitting down eating a slice of pizza with Aaron Ransom across from us, and I'm like, "How the fuck did this happen?"
I watched the episode, man. It was actually a really, really good episode. I wasn't like surprised that it was a good episode, but I knew it was going to be good with Aaron Ransom because he's a good comedian. I hope you get him on here sometime soon. But yeah, he's a great comedian. But it was a really good episode.
Well, I appreciate that. He did most of the heavy lifting because he is he's a pleasure to work with. He's easy to talk to, and he's real creative, and he's thoughtful. Like he thinks a lot. And I always knew that about Aaron. I always knew Aaron was a smart guy, like a wise guy. Yeah. But you really don't know to what level so you can really sit down and talk. And that was the longest me and Aaron really ever got a chance to sit down and talk. Of course in Teron, because Teron was there too. It's not like, but like just really be able to sit down and talk to Aaron for that long and really find out what he's about. I didn't know, like I learned just like everybody else did a lot of things about Aaron from that episode. And we have
I learned a lot about from that episode. I thought that he was a lot of off the cuff, getting up there
Mm-hmm.
just flying off the cuff. He's like, nah, I write a lot of that stuff down. I was like, wow. He's
Yeah.
so polished, man, when he comes out. And he's just so polished with it that you can't tell a difference. You know, I mean, you can't really see a difference in somebody who's just out there doing crowd work and him having it all scripted.
Yeah. And when it comes down to like the best comics in North Carolina and the best comics in Raleigh in particular, like he's at the top of my list.
Yeah, he's up there with
So
you.
I, I that's also something that's like I'm not used to.
Look,
And
you
as
have
people,
in a lot of the work. And that's what I said in my intro is that you've been putting in a lot of work. I see you on all the shows, you getting the open mics, you're testing stuff, you're running with stuff that's good, you're polishing your material that you've got that's good. And I'm like, when me and Tehran hired you on to do our show, and you pulled out a whole, was it 20, 30 minutes? 30 minutes?
yeah,
That was good, man. I know that was everything you had at that time.
yeah, it was every joke I could possibly muster
But
that I
you
had that
killed
was
it,
good.
man.
Like it wasn't everything that I had; it was everything that I had that was
That
good.
was good. Yeah. That was polished and ready
Yeah.
for a presentation of like a semi kind of special deal.
No, that was a huge deal. Let me tell you, your show at the Rialto was no small thing. The crowds may have been small-ish, and I say small-ish because you still had 50, 60 people.
We had, I think, about 60, 65 people at your show.
Yeah, yeah. And
That's
that's
a
the
pretty
thing. That's
decent
not no
turnout for
small
a
crowd.
local. Yeah, for a local show, that's pretty decent turnout.
It only seemed smallish because number one, you had reduced capacity because of COVID.
Yeah.
So but it was such a huge theater.
Yeah, it was a 400 seat theater. Yeah,
Right,
so
but you can only put 200 in there
right.
max.
Yeah, so we
And
almost hit half capacity. So
right, you hit
that's pretty
half
good for
capacity.
me. You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying? Half a house is still a show.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the thing was, it was like I'm talking from up until that point, I was a craft brewery, 13 people in the crowd type comic.
Right,
Like I
right.
was funny, but I didn't have crowds of that magnitude. Never saw my name on lights. Y'all did that for me. Y'all put me in a position to feel like all this work was going somewhere.
Yeah, it's paying off.
Like it because for the first four years of comedy, it's just been a hobby. It was something to do.
Mm-hmm.
It really didn't have any fruit to it. It was like, oh, I get to do a show.
Right.
And that's all I wanted. You know what I'm saying? Just something to do. It was a hobby. It was just like, and that's all I still really want is just to be able to tell jokes. Like it still amazes me that I get paid to do it.
Yeah, I mean it's a great thing, man. I mean
Because it's
you
a
deserve it.
privilege.
Yeah, you
Well,
deserve it.
to me, I think I look at it like this: performing is a privilege, and typically to be afforded a privilege to perform is the payment in itself. So you're telling me that I'm performing, all these people are laughing, I'm getting all of this great experience, this great experience right now. And on top of that, y'all are gonna pay me for it. That's when I realized that saying that when it's something you love is never work. Because I have not done an ounce of work in comedy. I've been going out having fun.
Yeah, I would feel about the same way, man, with everything that me and Tehran have done. I know I've been out of it for a little bit here. I mean, yeah, I got a lot of stuff going on in my personal life, kind of knocked me out
Mm-hmm.
of comedy for a while. But with me and Tehran, when we were doing all that work, putting in the work for the shows and everything that we were putting on at the Rialto,
Mm-hmm.
even though I mean, we broke even, I think, on your show, and I think we only made money once. But that
Mm-hmm.
wasn't the big thing for us. The bigger thing for us was giving people like you and Brandy and all these other people who never had the opportunity to get on a big stage, put their name on a marquee, and put you in a theater and try and get as many people as we can in there. And that was the whole thing for us. And I like how you said the payment from comedy isn't necessarily the money. And I mean, I know that comes with time. Like you can be like, all right, it's time to start paying me. But I feel about the same way. My payment comes when I get that 4 minutes, that 10 minutes, or whatever it is I get on stage, and people are laughing. If
Yeah.
they're laughing, that's my payment. That's payment enough for me.
I'm like this. And the thing is, I'm going to tell you, people sometimes feel like they don't owe anything. I'm like this. If you get your ass on that stage, you owe me a laugh. The payment to get on that stage is to tell a joke worthy of getting a laugh. If you do not have a joke worthy of getting a laugh, and you know that, don't get your ass
on stage. Yeah.
Like, because that's what we contribute. We have to. And a lot of comics just don't get that memo.
Yeah.
And a lot of comics do get that memo. And that's the thing I love about comedy is the ones who, like, because this is the thing for me, it's all about effort. I'm an effort guy. If I see the effort of you trying to come up with a joke and the talent of you actually having a sense of humor, then eventually you're going to have that killer joke. But is it funny? Because things is, just because something's funny don't mean you're going to laugh. You might laugh eternally.
That's true.
You might just...
There's so many things I've had in my head that I'm like, man, this is going to be funny. I bring it to the stage and it's just dead. You're like,
but the thing is,
okay,
was it dead? Like, did you, like, that's why it's important to connect with your crowd.
Yeah.
Because if you're looking at them in the eye and you tell a joke that's not funny, you can tell they do not think it's funny.
Yeah, you can.
But like, I've made eye contact with people and I see a dude go, no laugh. But you saw him enjoy the joke or get the joke. So sometimes a joke isn't dead just because it's not a loud response. Sometimes a person's chewing. I done made people choke. So like it can be to the point where it's just that they're enjoying it, they're laughing in their head. So don't focus on the crowd response so much as their physical, their body language. The audible. Like, don't get me wrong. If it's too quiet for too long, sooner because like for me, I build my jokes up to the point where I keep hitting you. I keep hitting you until you have to laugh. Now, I've been blessed and lucky enough to the point where the first hit makes you laugh and then everything else goes.
Just to punch up.
My jokes are designed so just in case you don't laugh at the first little thing I say, hopefully you laugh at the second. If not the third, then I'm going to bring my best and biggest thing fourth. And if you don't laugh at that, then let me go ahead and bury this joke because it's trash.
I feel you there. So back to the podcast. You guys got more episodes coming. Oh, one thing Aaron said, man, that stuck with me when I was watching that podcast was in the vein of comedy is when he gets to stage, he's in Tron made that reference to water. And Aaron was like, the water fills this container. You got to be the comedian that goes in there and just fills that room with what that room, how do you got to fill that room, how that room's going to hold you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So, and that was one thing I was like, man, that's like you said, man, he was very insightful. So, that was one thing I took away. But with the podcast, you got more episodes and stuff coming out, right?
Yeah. We're going to release some weekly on Monday nights. We have some comics that we already recorded. We're still recording now. We have Helen Willie, Artsy Musa, Jack Chrissy, just to name a few that we've already recorded. And that's Lauren Poley is another one that we've recorded. And I don't want to start saying names because I feel like I'm obligated to say everybody's name. That we've recorded.
You don't have to. No, it's okay.
But so
but you've got more episodes.
Yeah, we have. Well, man, we're filming now every week, and our filming schedule's out till June.
Wow.
So we have episodes that we're filming every week till June so far, and we still have people that we have yet to schedule.
Nice.
And any of those weeks are double days where we're 2-3 people a week.
So are y'all going to be planning on releasing it weekly, bi-weekly?
We're going to release it weekly. We're just trying to make sure that we have an inventory of episodes.
For sure.
So if there's ever a slow down part, we still got episodes on deck.
Smart. It's a good way to play it. What days are you planning on releasing them?
Mondays, 10 p.m.
Mondays at 10. You can catch it on. Where can you pick it up at?
YouTube, but we're going to also post the links on Facebook. We're trying to get to the point where we can go to Facebook Watch and upload the video directly to Facebook Watch, but that's just, we're working on that now.
Well, talk to me after this, and I can help you all out with that.
Yeah.
So what got you really see, for me, I always knew I wanted to do comedy in some form or fashion, right? Even when I was a kid, I liked entertaining. I liked making people laugh. Mm-hmm. For you, what was that point? Did it happen when you were younger? Did it happen when you were older? When you were just like, okay, I think I want to try and do comedy. I think comedy's my thing. That's my niche. Let me ride that.
I'm gonna tell you, man, comedy kind of found me. I will say this: when I was in the fourth grade, we had a 4-H talent contest, and I had signed up to rap. I was gonna do Master Plan by Rakim. Right? I'm thinking of a master plan. Ain't nothing but the sweat inside. And I was gonna do that, and I saw my sister, and she had music going and stuff. And the last minute, I said, I want to try comedy. I'm gonna try to see if I can tell jokes. But they didn't change the program in time, so I still just did the rap.
Right.
And I remember being so like, yeah, I'm not gonna do this comedy thing. It's just, I just like it didn't even seem me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was always funny, but yeah. So I was like, dodge the bullet there. Went my whole life. I was 35 years old. I was at the crib and I had a roommate at the time. And he had went to Good Nights on a date. And he came back and he was like, man, I went to Good Nights, man. And you were funnier than everybody that was on that stage, man. Like you should try doing comedy. And I was like, fuck out of here. I'm good. Ha ha ha, whatever. So I'm chilling. He goes to Good Nights again on another date, comes back, and he had this flyer for the 2018 Good Nights Funniest Contest. And it was it says amateur comedy contest.
Oh yeah, I've done it.
So I'm thinking everybody's that's gonna do is gonna be their first time doing comedy. This is where my
Yeah.
mind was. This is how dumb
Yeah.
I am. So I'm like, oh, okay, a bunch of first time. He's like, yo, I entered you into the contest. I already paid the $25. You gotta do it. So I was like, all right, I'll do it. He literally signed me up, paid the money. I was like, all right, so I do it. But before I said I'm definitely going to, I called my younger sister, Sabrina, who is the dream crusher of the family. And I don't mean that in a negative way,
No,
but she's
she's
the
a
real.
realist.
She's the realist. She's gonna tell you that's a stupid fucking idea. Don't do that. Like, and that's what I was expecting. I was like, Sabrina, I'm thinking about doing comedy. And instead of her saying, hey, that's a stupid fucking idea, she looked at me dead in the eye and said, you know what? Fuck Kevin Hart. And I was like, what? She was like, fuck Kevin Hart. Go out and do it. Like I believe in you. Go at it. And I'm not gonna lie, that shit made me so confident that I could.
Man, it's underestimated just how much that support from
That word of affirmation from that one particular person in that
yep.
moment is the only reason I even stepped foot on stage at Goodnight. If she would have said anything other than that, I probably would never. No one would even know I exist right now. And that's something in itself that I want to touch on. But I remember writing me and my uncle Ron, and we hung out in his garage every day after I got off work, and we would just talk shit. And I was trying to figure out and run jokes by him. What do you think about this? What do you think about this? And nothing came of it. Every day, nothing. I never had a joke that was going to work. So I remember I was laying around the house and I was smoking a blunt, and it hit me. Oh, I knew I was broke when. The moment I realized I was broke when. And then I was like, what is the brokest thing that you could do that no one ever talked about? Because I watched so much comedy.
Oh yeah.
And I was like, no one ever talked about knowing they were broke because they got their Netflix cut off. And I wrote that joke, and it's a joke that I still use now.
Oh, I know it.
But
Yeah.
that good of a joke that it's like, and I think about that all the time. Like, as a rookie, first ever comedian, I wrote a joke so good that a seasoned comic would use right now, which is obviously a fact
Yeah.
because I'm using it
You're
now.
still using it now.
Right. And it's still one of my best jokes. I mean, I've revised it since then, but I remember going to Good Nights that morning, that afternoon, and I was third, and Mark Brady was hosting. And shout out to Mark Brady. He
Shout
has
out to
the
Mark Brady.
best sneaker game in the comedy game. And he was hosting, and there was two cats that talked a lot of shit in the meeting that I was expecting to be really good. because they were just know-it-alls. They knew comedy. They
Yeah.
knew
You're
this, that,
talking about
and
the pre-meeting before the
the
show, right?
pre-meeting.
Yeah.
Yes. So I was honestly intimidated because here I am, first time ever, and these cats was talking. One dude had merch.
And you're like, I thought this was amateur. I didn't bring anything
You
to
know what I'm saying?
sell.
Brent Blakeney was in my round. You know
Oh
what I
gosh.
mean?
Yeah.
So I'm sitting on this stool in the back, like, man, this is not going to be good. So Mark Brady, he does his thing, and I was like, okay, yeah, no, he's funny, but not intimidating. Like, okay, he's funny, but I think my comedy, my jokes are funny too. I just want to be funny too. I didn't come in there with no intentions on winning or anything. I just didn't
Right.
want to suck. I didn't want to get booed off stage and get a bottle thrown at me. That's where
Right.
my bar was. My bar was, did I get booed off stage?
Yeah.
Did I feel stupid or silly, or was I uncomfortable? So the first dude goes up, and I mean, he sucks. I mean, even as like, if I'm not even in this competition or nothing like that, as a fan of comedy, which I am first and foremost always going to be, he sucked. And then the next guy came up, and he sucked, but he said something that made me think. So then I go up, and I do a off the cuff remark off of something that he said, and the room fucking goes electric.
Nice.
And like, I didn't even know how to handle that because I still had a whole thing. I was like, okay, but like,
You had
there
that
was
shock.
no.
You're like, okay.
Imagine, you got to understand that the only time they really laughed was at Mark, and even then it was mild because it was a cold room.
Yeah.
So when I said that, I mean, it was like a roar. And I knew from the stage that it was way louder than anything that whole night. And it wasn't even any of my material. So now I'm thinking, is my material even good? Should I just keep going? And this is all happening right there in this
Live
moment.
in a split second. People don't think
Live.
about
I
that.
mean,
It's
all of
split
these
second
thoughts.
decisions you make.
I'm like, should I keep going with off the cuff shit? Should I just continue this story, maybe make some shit up? Or should I go with my material? So I decided to go with my material.
Well, first off, for that really being your first time on stage, and to that be your thought pattern,
Right.
is already showing that you kind of have like a knack for this.
Yeah, and that's what I discovered because I mean I do my material and I mean it just kills and kills and kills the whole set. I mean the loudest lasts until Brent Breakley brought his big ass on stage and fucking had him down. But like to be
Yeah,
in that
Brent's
conversation,
good.
yeah. Oh, Brent's great. I'm not even gonna lie.
Yeah, I can't hate on him.
And so Brent's up there and he kills, but like I mean, I was getting laughs at that level, my first time ever even trying comedy. And then it had like I listen to it now, I'm like, wow, my cadence in it, my pace, everything on it was way beyond where I was at as far as experience wise.
Where
Like
you technically
where I
should
have been.
Yeah.
So I do good, and I do so good that I actually make it to the next round, and that was unheard of. A first timer ever, and you're going
Especially because it's crowd vote that first round. A lot of people don't realize it's crowd vote that first round.
Yeah, and I only brought like I think Jason, Becca, maybe 5 or 6 people came. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It wasn't
But you
like
got to win over a whole crowd of people who are there to see somebody else.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So when I make it to the second round, I do all new jokes. It took me. I had a week, and I thought I had to have a whole new set. So I wrote a whole new set for the next exact week, and then that shit killed. I didn't get to the third round because, of course, I'm in a contest with Caroline Smith, Justin Scranton.
Oh gosh.
At this point, I mean, it was Aaron Ransom was in this round.
Yeah.
Brent was in this round.
It's like I hate it when you show up to a contest and you can pick the top 3 before the show even starts.
Yo,
you know what I mean?
I didn't even know who they were, but I knew by them killing the way they killed on stage
Yeah.
Oh, I had a snowball's chance in hell of winning this thing.
And Caroline is hilarious, man.
Man, Caroline was great. To me, though, I think that night, I think Aaron was the best and Justin was the second best.
Yeah.
If I'm gonna be honest, like, but they were both. I mean, Caroline was still great. She was definitely third, and I mean, Andrew, not what was it? Not Andrew Gleason. He's a one-liner guy. Garfield,
Are you talking about Alex
Alex Garrison.
Garrison or Vinishinko?
No. It's Alex Garrison.
Garrison. Yeah.
He was great. He was in that round. He ended up winning the contest that year. But like I was enamored to just be like, and then when I finished my set, I met Aaron. He was like, because I had told everybody like this is only my second time ever telling jokes before, and got a standing O. And then I got on stage and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna do this again. I knew I lost.
Yeah.
I knew I lost, but I knew that I did great, and I knew that I had some sort of talent at it. And Aaron was like, yo, you got to keep going. There's no way in hell this is only your second time. If it is, you got something. So that's when me and him became friends. It was like,
Yeah.
so like he was the guy that I would look for whenever I would come to Raleigh because he was the first person I talked to that I knew.
Yeah.
So that's why me and Aaron are cool now because he was like, he's my first friend.
Yeah.
And then in comedy alone, I met some really great friends. You, Teron, of course, Janine Slaughter, Byron Johnson. I mean, of course, Aaron Ransom, like, became like my best friends. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah, for sure.
At this juncture in my life, man, we've had some good times together, you know?
We have, and I'm hoping there's a heck of a lot more good times coming
fuck
soon too, man.
Ooh, yeah.
You're on the up and up. Tehran's right there with you, man. I think he's like, I feel like he's just like a half step behind you right now with hosting at improv and everything. Like he's just right there. He's just
Right
right
there
on that.
with me.
Yeah,
I'll tell you how I feel about it.
he's
And
right there on the crisp of flipping.
I feel like all it's going to take is for one person to give Teron a shot.
Yeah, that's all it's going to take. He just needs that opportunity.
Yeah, it's all about just getting in step with that opportunity because I I cannot say in any shape, way, or form that I am any better than Teron as far as comedy.
Right.
I think Teron is fucking phenomenal. He doesn't believe me when I tell him that.
He
but
never
maybe
does.
You will.
I
But
believe you. I know you'll believe me when I tell you that he's phenomenal, but he don't believe either one of us.
Yeah, but like he has some of the best jokes I've ever heard. And and he's gotten so much better with the stage presence. He has his confidence with him, and he just has he's a character on stage that's believable.
Right.
And that's the main thing is having a believable story, having a believable because the joke ain't nothing but a story to me. And the story has to be believable. And then funny. Because you're not gonna find nothing fun that you don't even buy into. You have to buy into it.
Right.
And he does such a great job of providing quality. The jokes are not stereotypical anything, but they're real relatable. I mean, I would definitely put him in my top 5 comics of all
Absolutely.
time. You know what I mean? He's phenomenal comic. See, because the thing is, you break the mold because you bring something different that nobody else does except for maybe one or two other comics, and that's the guitar.
Yeah.
And then there's a guitar of original songs that are freaking hilarious.
Thank you, man. That
It's
means a
something
lot.
about, I'll tell you the thing about it is, and I was thinking about this earlier today when I was like, I knew I had to talk to Brandon. I was like, how can I explain why what he does is so phenomenal? And it's because you have to hit notes and you have to hit rhymes and you have to hit punchlines. So it's like this. The regular comic writes a joke that doesn't have nothing but a punchline, a setup and a punchline. You have to come up with a melody. Then you have to come up with the right notes to that melody. Then you have to come up with words to the melody. Then you have to come up with words that rhyme in the melody. And then those rhyming words have to also be punchlines. And that is freaking incredible.
Thank you. You're one of the few people I've talked to that has actually taken the time to break it down to where like I equate how I write my songs just the way you guys write your jokes. You know what I mean? It is a joke. The only
Yeah.
the only thing that's different for me is all the stuff, and this is going to sound like I'm tooting a horn, and I'm not trying to, but all the stuff that you were saying about having to come up with the melody and the tune and all that, that stuff kind of comes natural to me
Right.
because I've been playing music since I picked up a guitar when I was, I think, like 13. I didn't get my first one until I was like 17. And then I started playing guitar. And then from playing guitar, I instantly, one of my first things was writing funny songs.
Mm-hmm.
So I always liked making people laugh. Like I said, when I was growing up, that was my thing. I made people laugh. And that was what made me fit in with the crowd and made me feel comfortable about the things I wasn't comfortable with myself. Right.
Okay.
Because it helped me have friends. Because they were like, well, I view myself as this, back then I was just, just overweight. I hadn't changed much, but I was this overweight kind of acne kid. I didn't really try and take care of myself the way I should have at that point in time because I had so many other things going on in my life that we can get into if you wanted to, but I can get into it on your podcast later. But other things going on in my life. I didn't have very many friends, so I found a way. If I was funny, people kind of accepted me.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just always use that as like a crutch to deal with my own emotional and mental issues. Just being funny.
The
So
amazing about that is that it was great that you actually found your outlet in comedy to be a positive one. Like I had to be funny I had to be funny because people picked on me. And I figured if I could hurt their feelings before they could hurt my feelings, I won.
yeah,
So it was for me, it was
which
almost
makes
like
you
having
great at those
like
roast battles.
self-defense.
Yeah.
I learned comedy out of self-defense. like when you think about it.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, they're both coping mechanisms, right?
Mm.
So we both learned comedy through a coping mechanism. You learned it
No,
as a form of self defense, and I
right?
learned it as a form of being able to find acceptance,
Yeah.
right? So we
Which
use it.
I was also trying to do as well by defending myself.
Right. So you were
Yeah.
trying to make sure, hey, I got you can't get me because I got you first. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or I got you
No,
worse
no.
than you're gonna be able to get me.
No, it
Good
was
luck
more or
trying to
less like,
beat
oh,
me.
he hit me with some words. Let me hit him back with some words.
Right.
And
So
then I
if you
had to learn how to be pro offensive and come at him first. Like it was all sorts of stuff that I learned in those years. But first was like, if you hit me with words, I couldn't hit you with my fists. I learned that.
yeah.
That was like one of the first things about I guess social relations that I learned was just because someone hurt you with their words, you can't hurt them with
You
your
can't
hands.
hurt them back with your hands. Yeah.
Right. So then I had to figure out how can I hurt these mother because you gonna hurt
Mm.
because I'm petty.
Yeah.
So it was like oh,
I
you
feel
hurt
that.
me, I gotta hurt you. It's not there's so I'm not gonna let the shit go.
Yeah.
And I can't hit you. So what do I do? So I figured out the things that I could say that would make everybody else laugh at you. And that's where my comedy came from, was finding out what everybody else wanted. And it was great because I didn't realize how learning that in the uncomfortability of being ashamed of yourself kind of like helps you push you in that same type of mindset or that same type of feeling you would be if you're on stage and everybody's looking at you like, what the fuck, tell
Yeah.
us a joke.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and figuring out what all these people want to know, what they
Yep.
want to hear. Like, what do they want to hear that's going to be funny? What kind of things can I say that would be funny to them? And being able to say those things and come up with those things in those moments. And it's like a full circle moment at that time.
Yeah. See, for me, it was what could I say? I was big in physical comedy. So I found ways to make it look like I'd hit my head on a door and fall out. You know what I mean? Just randomly when somebody was like going to hold the door open for me, I would try and make them almost feel bad for hitting me in the head with the door. You know what I mean? But it was
Oh,
just a
okay.
comedy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I would fall out because I was really big into what was it? Well, Chris Farley was big at the time for me
Yeah.
in that point in my life. He was a big physical comedian.
Tommy
Who else?
Boy, everything. Beverly Hills Ninja,
Oh yeah.
Black Sheep. Yeah.
Yeah, all that physical comedy was hilarious to me.
Mm-hmm.
So I was doing a lot of that, but I remember, man, my first far away into, or I can't even say the word. My first venture into comedy, I was young, and we were staying at a friend of mine's house near the beach, and they had HBO and Showtime, right?
Okay.
And so I snuck out when everybody went to sleep, and I turned on Showtime, and you would think I'd be watching like the softcore porn movies and stuff, but I mean, I ain't gonna lie, I did kind of flip through that stuff. But at the same time, that's how I stumbled across Sam Kinnison's special.
Okay.
And I saw that dude taking the stage, and he was just screaming, and people were laughing, and what he was saying. And that was a special where he was like, "Oh, even after you're dead, they're still fucking you in the ass." And
Mm-hmm.
I was like, "Oh my God, this is hilarious, man." So I cut that off. I went to bed, and that's kind of like where I was like, okay, I want to be funny. I want to be funny. But then I had to use it as a coping mechanism. And then once I learned how to play guitar, I only learned how to play guitar so that I could impress girls. That's the only reason I wanted to learn to play guitar, because I was like, all right, I'm funny, but how can I impress girls? This funny thing isn't really getting me girls right now. I want to get girls. How can I get girls? Let me play guitar. So I picked up a guitar, I taught myself how to play it, and then I had some people teach me more things along the way. And similar to how you got signed up for the Good Nights contest, I used to play at parties and stuff. I'd pick up a guitar and I'd play some funny songs. I had the "Can I Stick in Your Butt Tonight" song. And I was at an open mic that my buddy was hosting, and my other friend was there. And unbeknownst to me, he signed me up for the open mic. So we're sitting at the bar. I've had a couple drinks, and all of a sudden here, all right, next up is Brandon Smith. I was like, you motherfucker, you signed me up for this? He's like, yep, get up there. I was like, oh no. I was like, what am I going to do? So I got up there and I played my funny songs that I had written, and it killed. It killed. And then I was like, okay, all right, this is me. And then I ended up doing that almost every Tuesday night, and just going up there and polishing my set and writing new songs. And I would go up there for before I even knew about it, before I even knew about open mics at Good Nights, I was hitting the open mics at Ruckus, and I would get 15, 20, 30 minutes to do whatever it is I wanted to do. So I was comfortable with time. What I'm not comfortable with is a shortage of time. So
Yeah.
when I went from having to do like 15, 20-minute sets to I had the manager of Good Nights at the time came in on a Tuesday night and was like, "You're funny. Come audition on Wednesday night to do the open mic at Good Nights, and we'll get you on." So I went up there on a Wednesday night. I auditioned in front of Ray Wagner, one person. That's how you did it back in the day. You kind of did your set in front of the guy who was running it, and they decided whether or not you were going to get on. He was like, "All right, you're funny. You got 3 minutes." I was like, 3 minutes? He's like, "Yep." I was like, "Okay." So I did my 3 minutes. It killed. And then I just worked my way up. And then I kind of fell out of comedy there. But I appreciate that you realize what actually goes into it, because a lot of people don't see that. I feel they don't see that, like, it takes a lot to, because I'm working on a new song now. It's about being a millennial and getting older. And one of the opening lines is, "All I hear is tinnitus. All I feel is arthritis." So it's like, it has to rhyme, kind of has to be funny. It kind of has to hit you a certain way. And then I got to come up with a melody that's going to keep you entertained. It's not going to get you bored.
Yeah.
So there's a lot that goes into it, but a lot of it kind of comes naturally for me. Like, I'm sure a lot of things come a little natural for you on telling some of your jokes. You know what I mean? Like, you saw my attempts at going up there without the guitar. They're
Yeah.
not as good. They're not as good. I have some material that works, and I have other material that just doesn't.
Yeah,
But
but the thing is, you've been playing the guitar since you was 13,
yeah,
had one since you was 17.
yeah,
So of course you're going to be better with the guitar in your hand than without. Because how long have you been doing comedy without the guitar?
20 minutes.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You know what I mean?
Not
So,
very long.
yeah, there is an adjustment period. The thing is, for me, is the fact that I see you being ambidextrous.
Yeah,
I see you being the guy that can pick up the guitar. Like you could start. Like this is the thing about you. You could go out and do a 30-minute set, clean or dirty, without a guitar, without any music.
yeah,
Then pick up a guitar and do another hour
yeah.
of straight fire ass just quick songs,
I do.
and
Yeah.
it would blow like the roof off the, you know what I mean, the building.
I appreciate it. I really do. I really do appreciate it. It means a lot coming from you, because, like I said, you, Tehran, there's a lot of people I view as like the upper echelon of comedy in our area, and I like to hang with you guys. I like to know that I'm hanging with you. I'm not there, but I'm hanging with you at least. And that's what I want to do, is at least be hanging with you for now, because my life is such in turmoil. I'm actually about to start getting back out. I just got a job yesterday. You know what I mean?
Congrats,
So
congrats.
appreciate it. You know, I've been unemployed for a little bit too long. You know what I mean? Putting some stress on the fam and having to just do what I got to do. I've been hustling, man.
Yeah,
But
yeah.
you know,
Can't go out
family
and
comes
have fun.
first.
I understand when you a dad, you can't go out and have fun when you ain't got no job. Like that's just not an option.
Nah, you can't. But I think I'm gonna go out this Wednesday night at Heroes Pub. It's just a little music open mic, and it's
Okay.
where I think I'm gonna start. I started going there when I was going out with you guys, going to the Improv a lot. I was going to Heroes Pub on Wednesday nights and trying to work on new material and polishing my stuff. So I think I'm gonna start hitting that up again. It's late night mic, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I might actually be able to get you and Tehran on if y'all wanted to, because he had to get away from it. He had a white dude go up there dropping the M-bomb left and right, and he was like, nope, no more stand-up comedians. But he's
Yeah.
my friend, and y'all would probably be fine. And that's a
Oh.
Heroes Pub if you wanted to get some, like, you know, try out your shit. But I love, part of what I do is where I started. My roots are in the bars. So
Yeah.
I love turning a crowd. That bar crowd does not know what I'm going to get up there and play.
And they don't know that bar crowds typically don't even know they're at the comedy show.
They don't. So the bar crowd, like, they're there to hear, you know, people play cover songs on that mic. So when I get up there and I start playing, you know, the Trailer Park Queen and all these other songs I got, the Webster, the Cancer Hamster, and all these songs, they stop talking to their people and they start paying attention to what I'm doing. I love when that happens. I know it's happening for you too, when you flip a crowd and they're not paying attention. All of a sudden,
Yeah.
everybody's paying attention and everybody's like, you got them. You just got them. They're right there. No matter what you say, it could be good, bad. They're going to giggle with
That was Hero City Market for me.
Yeah.
Downtown Raleigh. Man, that was a shitty I ain't gonna say a shitty crowd. That was a crowd that ain't want shit to do with no comedy. And then you turn them. And then on top of that, you also know if a joke works there, it's going to work.
Yeah. That's the other thing. I don't know if my songs will work, because if I can turn that crowd into paying attention to what I got going on, I'll know the song works. Like, I've tried songs out that they just don't work, man. They just don't. Like, I think they're funny. I have one that says, you got to be okay with their O face. It's all about, you know, fucking, and you got to be okay with their face when they come.
Yeah.
It didn't hit well, so I dropped it. I mean, I still got it written down somewhere. I might revisit it.
I got a Bill Cosby joke that I want to be good, but no one likes it except for me. And the R. Kelly joke the same way.
Yeah. Shit happens, man. You write stuff that you think is just going to be great, and it's fun for you. You know what I mean? Oh, man. So you've come a long way. So who'd you host for most recently at the Improv?
Carlos Mencia.
Carlos Mencia. You also hosted for, was it Eddie Griffin too, right?
Yeah.
Wow. I remember watching Eddie Griffin way back. You remember when he used to wear those big hats on the stage?
Yeah. I tell you like this. You know how your foray into comedy was Sam Kinison?
Yeah.
All right. So the thing is, I watched 2 specials back to back. Right.
Mm-hmm.
The first comedian I ever saw, like when I'm talking about ever, I'm talking about like as far as knowing I'm watching stand-up comedy. I'm not talking about Eddie Murphy Delirious when I was 3, or Richard Pryor records. I'm talking about like I'm making a conscious choice to watch comedy. I had to be 8 years old. And it was Damon Wayans Still Standing.
That's a good one, man.
And it was hilarious. Right after that, it was Eddie Griffin, Voodoo Child.
Eddie Griffin's hilarious, man.
And I remember thinking to myself at the time that these were the 2 best stand-up comedians of all time because they were that funny. I was like, oh, so this is like Damon, because Damon Wayans was on In Living Color at the time.
Yeah. I used to love that show growing up too, though.
Yeah, and Eddie Griffin was a background character in a lot of movies. Like, he was just in Meteor Man. As a matter of fact, he was just in Meteor Man, and that's where I saw him, man. And I was like, oh, that's the dude from Meteor Man. And then, of course, I knew who Damon Wayans was because of In Living Color.
Mm-hmm.
So, of course, I knew he just had to be the best stand-up comedian of all time. He's the funniest dude on In Living Color. And honestly, he doesn't get enough respect comic-wise. But
Damon?
then, Yeah, Damon. Damon don't get it as far as stand up comedy.
Yeah.
Damon Wayans don't get nowhere near the respect he deserves. Damon Wayans is, in my opinion, he's definitely top 10 stand up comedians of all time.
Yeah. I have to check him back out some more. It's been a while since I watched some of his stand up.
Bruh, I will tell you like this, man. Damon Wayans still standing. If you can find that, it will have you dying of laughter, especially as a father.
Yeah.
But I
That's
was a kid who was dying of laughter.
that's my new like. All right, so last night I watched The Slice with Aaron Ransom. Dude, that guy dropped nothing but insight the whole episode,
Yeah.
and he was like, "You gotta be true to yourself." And I feel like some of the times I was getting up there with the jokes that fell flat, it made me start thinking about those jokes that kind of just fell flat. I was like, I wasn't being true to myself. Like I was to a certain extent, but I didn't get the crowd there, right? Like I didn't get them to know me to the point where that stuff could be funny. But he was like, stay true to yourself. The stuff that always hits, and I've had people come up to me after shows and they're like, you were funny. I liked you because you told stories about your family. And I was like, that's what I got to do, man. So
like to me, why you don't have a song called "I Donkey Kicked My Daughter" is beyond me.
Man, see, here's the thing. I've got so many ideas floating around. Like there's a guy, I don't know if you've ever heard of him. His name is Stephen Lynch. And I'll shoot you a link to one of his songs. The Lullaby song ruined any kind of song I could write for my kids for me for at least a little while. I have to like get beyond that, that song because it is hilarious. He talks about, I'm putting you to bed tonight. He's like, there's a reason why mommy's not here. It's because daddy likes touching little kids on the bus. That's why your mommy left us. It's hilarious. But anyway, so like I try and write songs in that people can kind of relate to. That's why I did write one about my grandfather who did pass away. I wrote it about the old folks home that he was living in. And this dude legit, and I tell the story before I sing the song because it adds to it, but he legit did trade candy for sex. He would trade candy bars for like sexual favors and all that kind of stuff in the freaking in the retirement home. And they are crazy. Just because they're old doesn't mean they're not banging. And that's why I wrote that song. Everybody's banging in the old folks home, because it's true. Everybody's banging in the old folks home.
Yeah, or you can change that title too. Like they fucking in Shady Pines.
It's funny because I open it up with "The wind it whispers gently over the pines" is the very first line in that song. So it wouldn't be a bad one to change it to.
Yeah, like you can be like, just let you know, I went to visit my grandfather at Shady Pines Nursing Home, and I wrote a song about it. This is how it goes. And the first is titled "They Fucking in Shady Pines." Like that's the thing about being the ideas guy. Like anybody can give me anything, and I'm gonna come up with ideas for it. It's almost like a compulsion. So please forgive me. I don't want to overstep.
No, man, that's what I love about yours, and Tehran's relationship, our friendship, is that we're able to bounce ideas off each other like that, and we can feed off of it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I love it. And then we have Tehran who can take both of our ideas and start putting them into motion. You know what I mean?
And then come up with 13 better ideas in 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Like, he's an idea guy too. That's the crazy thing about him is he's an idea guy with that drive.
Yeah.
And that
he's
motivation.
Definitely got the drive.
I ain't got no motivation. Like luckily, this is the thing. Luckily, people are giving me opportunities. Because I had to go out.
There's a thing with luck is where luck meets opportunity. Was it opportunity meets hard work? Is where luck is. That's luck.
Uh-huh.
That's your luck. Is where opportunity meets your hard work. If you didn't have the hard work, those opportunities would fly by you. You put in the hard work, those opportunities meet. That's luck.
Well, the thing is, and I'm just gonna be honest about like how my outlook on life is the fact that I don't think I'm ever going to get a second chance. And so what that makes me do is obsess compulsively over every opportunity I get to not squander that opportunity, because another one is not just out the window. And luckily, that's what I'm saying, there's still luck there.
Yeah.
Luckily, I was able to rise to the occasion. Like what got me was when I did the improv. They brought the open mics up, because you got to understand, like, as far as the playing field, before the improv started doing open mics, I was doing local shows at best.
Yeah.
I did feature for Rachel Feinstein at Dead Crow, but apparently I did so good that I can't feature for people because they can't follow me.
That's a weird good problem to have.
Nah, it's a terrible problem. I should have just dialed it down
Yeah.
and been I didn't know that I needed to be mediocre.
Right.
I didn't know, you know what I'm saying? So that was my learning experience. But then what happened was the improv started doing the open mic. And I went to the open mic and I remember signing up and the manager, Jeremy, he grabs my paper, he sees my name, he says, "Oh, HL." He says, "HL, oh, nice." And I was like, whoa, okay. I didn't think, because he didn't do that with nobody else. It was just,
Yeah.
But he knew my name. He was like, HL Boney, okay. Like, I was like, okay, so he knows who I am. That's kind of crazy. Because, like, I'm such a no-name. I'm a very, humble person. You know what I mean? Anybody who knows me knows that I'm just trying to tell some jokes and
Yeah, for sure.
And so I was like, well, he knows my name. How the fuck he know my name? I'm not even thinking that, like, I'm just, like, good. Or that I have a reputation. I'm still thinking that in my mind, I still think like this now, that I'm just a dude that goes to open mics and I do shows whenever people invite me or whatever. And I'm pretty good at it. So I do the open mic, and of course I do pretty well. I do really good. And then I do the next open mic and I kill that. And then they email me. And I think they asked me if I wanted to host an open mic. And I was like, fuck yeah, that's how we do that shit.
I remember. Yeah.
So I hosted that open mic and I hosted the shit out of that open mic. And then after that, they was like, hey, do you want to host for David Arnold? Rest in peace to David Arnold, man, because, we lost a good one there.
Yeah, we did.
But I was like, hell yeah. And I remember, I think you came out just to wish me luck.
Yeah, that was the day. That was the day my daughter was going to a birthday party.
Yep.
And I remember you were hosting. I was like, oh, snap. My daughter's birthday party's right here behind the improv. And I pulled up and you were outside smoking a cigarette.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I caught you. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, man, that meant the world to me. I was like, man, that's my boy right there. Because, a lot of times things happen good to you and people treat you bad because of it.
Yeah.
Like, as like when you're no longer outside of the club and you actually can get in, like those that were outside with you, they act like you can't come back outside and hang out.
Right.
Like now you're a whole different person. And that's what I love about like my people. My people never did that to me.
Well, it's mostly because you stay humble. You are who you are. You know what I mean? You didn't change.
Oh yeah, yeah.
You know what I mean? You didn't change when you started doing that. The only thing that changed was how could I get my people with me?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that never really changed. That's how we all operate. You know what I mean? So that's what what you were saying, man. That's what we love about our people.
Yeah, yeah. That's what I'm doing now, man. Any chance, like there's only I have a circle. And my circle moves in ways that I think I have use for everybody in my circle one way or another, especially when it comes to a performance. And it's fulfilling because it's not all about me. I'm just one little small dot on this huge circle. And it's never going to just be me. I don't think. It's like, because you can't do shit by yourself. Like I think that's going to be on the t-shirt. You can't do shit by yourself.
We can work it out. I can make you a design with one that says that.
You
know I can.
But yeah, you can do any damn thing. But that's just the thing of how we move, and it's like I don't even think I know. I'm not even gonna say think. I know I'm not the most talented in my circle. I know I'm not the funniest in my circle. Anything along those lines. But at the end of the day, I know that my circle is better than your circle. You know what I mean? Not your circle per se.
Yeah, I know, because I'm part of your circle.
Fucking dope.
I'm part of your circle, so you can say that.
Yeah. Well, my circle is fucking dope all the way around. And the thing is, my circle is all misfits.
I like our circle.
Yeah, because like for example, this is the thing. There are cliques in comedy.
There are.
And there are so many wannabe cliques, and they're for the most part, they sit back and they try to make you feel left out if you're not in that clique. So they try to make you want to work to try to be inside their little circles or whatever. And I never was one to say I want to be in your clique, because when I step on stage, the whole crowd is in my clique.
Yeah.
And that's what's important to me. Like y'all can be like the people in the back room, the people in the comics, the fellow comics. We can be cool, but I'm not about to work to be cool with you.
Right.
If I see you and I'm like, hey, what's up? And you say, hey, what's up? And we talk and it just organically happens, like me and you.
Yeah.
Or me and Teron. And that's how my circle was formed. By people that just they weren't in no clique. They weren't trying to make you bend over and jump through a bunch of hoops to be down with them. They were just cool people that are very talented, that go on stage and produce results. And those are the people that I want to be around.
I remember when I first met you, and I think I told you this. I was just starting to come out to the Good Nights open mics again. And you were outside talking with some people, and I thought you were hilarious. I wanted to talk to you. And you were talking with people that you already knew, right? And I tried to like talk to you and kind of put myself in that circle. But I was like, I don't think he likes me. I don't think he likes me at all. But it was more me, man. That was more me projecting. It was just because you had already had a conversation going on, and I tried to interject myself, and I got upset with myself that I was like, man, they didn't include me in their conversation. You know what I mean?
Oh man, that makes me hurt. That hurts my feelings right now.
This shouldn't hurt your feelings, man, because it's more me projecting my own insecurities out into the world than it was you doing anything back. But like you had already had a conversation. I had nothing to add to the conversation. You know what I mean? Like I didn't know the other people. Y'all were talking about, I don't even remember, but I was like, I don't know if he likes me or not. But then I came back out and we talked, we hung out, and we ended up clicking and becoming friends, and everything happened. You know what I mean? And one of the things that when you were talking about how the comedy scene is cliquey, and you're absolutely, it was, I don't know if it is right now, but it definitely was at that point. And I remember I ran into Aaron Ransom on Hillsborough Street. And he was like, hey, man, where you been? I was like, man, I kind of had to lay back a little bit. He was like, yeah, it feels kind of cliquey, doesn't it? I was like, yeah, it feels like it's high school drama. Like, if you're not part of this club or group, then you're not a part of the scene. And it's like, I'm not even trying to do that. I'm just trying to come out and tell some jokes and play some funny songs and just make people laugh and get along with my fellow comedians. You know what I mean? That's what I'm out for.
I'll tell you the funniest thing is, it is like high school, and the thing is, I mastered high school at 39. I'm not gonna lie. Like, come on. I'm 30. If it's just like high school now with our minds, we know exactly how to navigate this shit to make it work in our life. And the one thing that I did, I was just comfortable with myself, and I have no problem being by myself. Being alone doesn't bother me. And the thing is, I like myself, and other people like me too. So when I go and I sit alone, sooner or later, there's going to be someone in my vicinity that's going to be cool people that I'm just going to talk to, and we're going to have a good time in this moment and live in that moment. And I would just like because no one knew me. You know what I'm saying? I would go to Good Nights and I would see Aaron. That was the only dude I know. I went to the writer's block and I met Mike and Mark. And that was it until I met Teron. And I didn't meet Teron until like a year after not even about 6 months after I started, I met Teron.
Yeah, it was a while before I met Teron too.
I would just go to the mic. I would go to the bar. I'd get me a drink. I'd sit at the bar, and whoever was around me that was talking, we talked. And I'd go outside, I'd smoke a cigarette, and whoever was around, if they were cool, had a good vibe, we talked. And I just navigated that way. I was always just comfortable being me, being by myself, not being in some group or being included. I would go on stage, I would kill, I would talk to people that were booking shows, and they would put me on their shows, and I would kill, and it just created these relationships to the point where I became my own clique.
Yeah. I remember when you brought up Mike Mello. I remember I was leaving Goodnights one time. One of the open mics, I come out. I don't think you were there because you weren't living in Raleigh at the time. I don't think.
Right.
But anyway, I'd walked out. There was nobody really talking, but Mello was out in the back lot, and I was walking to my car, and he goes, "Hey," I was like, "Oh shit, this dude who's like really funny just wants to talk to me, wants to say hey." And he goes, "Hey man," he's like, "You're pretty funny." He's like, you know a lot. He's like, I know a lot of comedians who do the guitar stuff. They get booked a lot. He's like, there's money out there to be made. He's like, just stay with it. I was like, awesome.
Yeah.
I was like, thank you. He was like, yeah, no problem. And then we kind of hung out for about 5-10 minutes, shot the shit a little bit, and then I went home. But
Yeah.
it was a big impression on me. You know what I mean? And then that was one of the reasons why I definitely wanted to have Mello out on one of our shows.
Yeah. Because
You know?
and that's the thing, man. It's all about encouraging.
Yeah,
Because the thing is, I'm not going to get anywhere bringing you down.
absolutely. Well, there's nowhere to get above me.
You know, there's
You brought me down.
I mean, that's the thing though. But like people, there are people that try to bring you down, and there are people that try to bring you up. And the thing is, luckily, I will say this about the scene is that for the most part, even if it's fake, people are really encouraging out here.
Yeah. I've run into quite a few of them that even though they seem like they're part of that clique or clicky, they kind of hit you on the outside of it like, hey man, you're funny. You did a good job. You were doing a
Yeah,
good job.
for me, I tell you the thing is, and this is just my personal opinion, was like y'all can have all the clicks y'all want to. Hey, none of y'all fucking with me. And that's how my mind was like, as far as I try to be humble, and I am humble, but I also believe in myself.
Yeah, well there you can be
So,
humble and confident.
and then the thing is, most of the clicks are not the talented comics. The most talented comics don't subscribe to clicks.
That's
But
very true.
they're basically their own clique. Like, for example, when you see Mark Brady walk into a room, people come up to Mark Brady. When you see Aaron Ransom walk into a room, people flock to Aaron Ransom. Even myself, and I hate to say, but when I walk into a room, people flock to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, now the people that are flocking, those are the cliques. But even in their own entity, they're still looking for someone to flock to because that clique doesn't have a defined leader.
Right. I didn't even think about it that way.
They don't have anyone that is literally like, yeah, I represent this group of people. I'm funny as shit. Yeah, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. It's always just a bunch of untalented people that are trying to put themselves in position to get on stage more by unifying and taking all their power and putting it together. Thing is, I have no power. I'm at the power, the freedom of the bookers. But luckily, I've been a pleasant enough person, nice enough person, and a funny enough comic where people and reliable to the point where if you book me on the show, you know I'm be there. I'm gonna be on time. I'm gonna be funny, and I'm not gonna be knocking you up every 5 minutes about getting paid.
Yeah.
You know, and I will become like, hey, do you how you doing? Do you have any shows available that you can put me on? You know, because like I don't think it's number one, humble yourself enough to ask. If someone has what you want, be humble enough to ask for it. If you can't do that, then because stealing is not, you know what I mean? It's not an
Yeah.
option. You can't steal stage time.
You
You
can't.
can't you can't force somebody to put you on stage and none. But the thing is, if you see someone has a good venue with a good crowd, and they have good shows, humble yourself and ask, "Hey, can I be on your show?"
Yeah.
It'll be nice to work with you. And for the most part, unless they're just an absolute dick, they're gonna be like, "Yeah, I got time," or "Not right now, but you know, if you keep doing this, you know, and get your shit together, you know what I'm saying, in a certain way, then yeah, I can put you on the show." I've had that happen, and guess what? I was like, "Okay, cool." 3 months later, I'm still killing. They're like, "Hey, you want to do my show?" And I'm like, "Sure, thank you," because you notice that I put more work into my craft, and I took your advice.
Yeah.
You know, but people don't want to take advice. People don't want to take criticism for the most part. Like to the point where you used to be able to tell someone, hey, that wasn't funny. Try it this way. And they'd be like, oh, okay. But no, you can't do that now because
Yeah, now it's
everybody's
like a
so
personal
sensitive.
attack. Yeah.
Yeah, everybody want to be attacked by someone taking time out of their day to give you some sort of game. Like the reason why I've seen the success I've seen is because I've never been too big to listen to anybody.
Well, let me ask you this in that vein. Who do you think, other than just the Hard Knock way, taught you the most about comedy?
Mm.
And
That's a
I
good
know a
question.
lot of comedy is the Hard Knock, getting up there and just doing it. But
I would say Mello.
yeah.
Mello, man, like Mello and Matt White have really taken me under their wings and really guiding me with some advice. Mark Brady and Brent Blakeney, they also do it too. But just like everybody, man, I mean, I've gotten information from everyone from Sam Mazzani to Tank Smith to Ron to you. Like Janine Slaughter. Janine's taught me a tremendous amount of
I love Janine.
humility.
She's
Yeah.
so nice.
Humility, humbleness, like uh hard work and diligence and networking. I learned all of that from Janine. I learned from Brandy Brown about how to conduct business, how to conduct myself. Brandy taught me how to pattern a set to your crowd. Um how to be self-reflective and honest with yourself, like, okay, this wasn't good, don't tell this joke no more. Because that's one thing that people don't really have in them is the ability to say, this joke sucks, I don't need to tell this joke no more. Or if
Yeah.
I do tell this joke, I have to do a lot of revising for it. But like, so I'm gonna tell you like this, and this is just the most honest way I can answer this question. The Raleigh comedy scene has taught me the most about comedy.
There it is. It's your circle, right?
Yeah. And my circle, like I said, like my circle is huge, but it's small, but it's big. Because like just because you're in my circle don't mean you're like in my crew. Like but like the people that I can reach out to and ask a question is what I consider my circle.
Yeah.
If I'm comfortable enough to be like, hey, how you doing? I have a question. And I know that you're not gonna be like, fuck you. You know what I'm saying? Like I could reach out to Justin Scranton and be like, hey, Justin, I have a question.
Yeah.
Or I can reach out to Mark Brady. I can reach out to Brent. Like all of these big names, you know what I'm saying, in the comedy game are people that like I've looked up to and I still look up to.
Yeah.
And Amson Hughes out of Greensboro, I could like ask him for Maurice Riggins out of Fayetteville, like all of North Carolina, Jay Bliss in Charlotte. And I'm not trying to name drop or anything because it sounds like I'm name dropping. But these are people that are held to a real high esteem, and I just see him as the big homie.
Yeah. You want to hear something interesting about Mark Brady?
What's up?
Mark Brady used to skateboard. He still does a little bit now.
Mm.
He's posted videos up of him doing a little bit of skateboarding. He used to skateboard. He's probably, I think, like 4, maybe 5 years older than I am.
Uh-huh.
Maybe. But we used to go to the same skate park back in the day when I would skateboard. And
Okay.
that dude, I remember him even then. He was killing it, dude. He was a great skateboarder. Like, could be he might have even been sponsored by like the local skate shops and stuff, but he was just doing it big. And even at that point and when he was doing something awesome then as skateboarding, he took the time out where somebody like me who'd only been doing it for like a year or two to be like, hey man, you need to just try and catch that with your feet. He's like, you're spinning it perfect. Just try and catch it. I was like, okay. And then like he was just always been nice. You know what I mean? And I approached
I
him when
can
he
see
did
that.
when he did the show for us. I was like, Mark, I was like, I got a question. Because back then he had long hair and he looked a little bit different. I was like, are you the same Mark Brady that used to go to Ryan's World back in the day? He goes, yeah. I was like, man, I used to look up to you as a skateboarder. You know what I mean? And now I look up to you as a comedian. This is kind of crazy for me. You know what I mean? But it just shows like, kind of path that we take in life.
Yeah, and there are just some people that are nice. Mark's nice,
Yep.
Mike's nice,
Yep.
Brent's nice, Matt's nice, and they all are teachers too. And it's funny because these are the nicest guys in the scene. and they're also the most talented. So what does that tell you?
Avoid the clicks. They're not worth it.
It tells you that talented people don't have to be mean.
They don't. Mm-mm.
Talented people don't have to hold you back. Because like the thing is, a talented comic wants a good feature.
Yeah, they want people around them. They want
Yeah.
other people that are
Like,
talented.
If Mike Mello's doing a show right now, he's not gonna want some scrub on his show. You know, he's gonna want somebody talented, and it's not even gotta be like. And that's another thing. Like, I'm not even trying to put myself in it, but like when he does a show, he's gonna want someone who's gonna host. It's gonna be funny. Someone that's gonna feature is gonna be funny, and someone's gonna keep the energy up. How can you get that if anybody that shows a remote amount of talent, you're automatically dismissing?
Yeah.
Or making feel unwanted, or trying to get them to. You're not. That's why I love the talented people. That's why I always befriend the ones who have talent, because the untalented people ain't gonna do nothing but try to hold you back somehow, because they don't have the talent to get up and move up in the ranks. Their only option is to knock you down.
Yeah, to keep you where they're at.
Yeah, to keep you below them.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and try to step on you and stuff like that. So I just avoid them.
That's one thing I do like about our little the tight knit circle that we've got, is that we're always just trying to boost each other up all the time, no matter what. And like, it's like when you make it, like, because you're making it right now, how I see it. You're doing big things. You are that path. You're like, I see a pathway because of what you're doing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I saw you go to improv. I saw you get the host gig for the open mic. Then I saw you start hosting for other comedians. I was like, okay, I see a path now where before you'd made that path, all I saw was people doing it already, right? You already had Mello, you already had like Scranton, you already had Brent, you already had him doing that stuff. So I just kind of came into it and those people were already doing it. Nobody,
right.
I didn't see a way to it, and you showed a pathway, and that's one thing I love about our close circle, is because you've shown that pathway. Now I know a path I can take. You know what I mean?
And it's crazy that you say that, because like when I first started, the ones who were there now were already there. I didn't get to see a path either. The path I followed was Janine. Because Janine, the thing is, Janine does a lot of big shows, but she does them for like, touring comedians or whatever. And I saw that she wasn't going through good nights. She couldn't, because she couldn't get through good nights. And like it got to the point where good nights was a roadblock.
Yeah.
Like you could get to maybe the local shows and the open mics, but like hosting for the names, that was not an option.
Yeah. It used to be an option when I first started at Good Nights, because
but it wasn't for me.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what I did, no matter how consistent I was, I could not host. I've hosted for Orlando Jones, and I hosted the stand-up confidential this year.
I'm talking probably 10 years before you started at Good Nights is what I'm talking about. You know what I mean? It used to be like, because that's how I did it. When I kind of made my way up to hosting the open mic at Good Nights when Brandy was just a cocktail waitress.
Oh, wow. Yeah. So you old school.
Old school.
Yeah. I didn't have that. And the thing was that, so all I would do was just ask the old heads, what did they do to get there? Ask the OGs, like, hey, how'd you, and I would listen to them, and I was like, all right, so I just came to the open mics and I performed my ass off, and any chance they give me at a local show, like a Wednesday or Thursday show, I would show up, perform, work my ass off, and laugh. And the thing was, what I didn't realize was that even though I'm not getting my just due within Good Nights, I'm building my name up in the rankings. And then whenever the improv opened up and started doing open mics, because of how many of those local shows I did at Good Nights, they knew who I was.
Mm-hmm.
So then at that point, I performed at the improv, and
Oh, did I lose you?
No, I'm here.
Okay,
but
there you are.
What happened was I let them know why they knew my name, because they're like, oh, okay, that's why he is funny.
Yeah.
And then they gave me opportunities, and when they gave me an opportunity, I tried to do everything as professional as possible, and I tried to go out there and give them quality.
Right.
There's two things. You could be funny on stage, but if you're a headache backstage, they ain't gonna want shit to do with you.
Right. They're not gonna want. Yeah. It doesn't matter how good you are on stage.
And you can be the nicest guy off stage, but if you go on stage and you suck, they ain't gonna want nothing to do with you. So, and then also the comics that would come, we would have good rapport. So there was a lot of things that I had to know, because I will tell you this, and I'll be perfectly honest. If I would have gotten the opportunities to host at the Improv that at any point earlier in my career, I would have fucked them up.
Yeah. And see,
So trust the process.
That's what, like, I can't sit back here and tell you I don't have a little bit of FOMO, right? I had some fear missing out because I see you doing big things. You and Teron doing your podcast and getting that rolling, man. I love that. But I have a little bit of FOMO, but I have to keep in mind, like what you just said, I'm not at that point yet, right? Like if Improv was like, hey, Brandon, come host for this person, I'm not ready for that. I'm not ready. If they were like, well, I don't know. It just depends on who they ask me for. I would still take it. You know what I mean? If they called me, I'd still take it and just.
Oh yeah, we'll be in your garage
I'd be like
all week.
Yeah. I'd be like, y'all gotta help me. Right. Y'all gotta help me. Yeah, but I wouldn't be ready for it if I was solo on my own. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't be ready for it. I'm not at the point yet. I got to polish my material more. I got to build a set more. I got to figure things out a little bit more. I know there's things I need to do, and that's just getting stage time. But yeah. So how long have you been doing comedy? 4 or 5 years now, right?
Yeah, I started I started June 28th, 2018.
Okay. So you've come a long way in these years. Where do you see yourself in like the next 3 to 5 years, man?
The next 3 to 5 years, I want to get nationally exposed. Nationwide exposure is where I'm gonna go for that. I mean, and as well because like I'll be building up my second set at that point. So like I want to focus on having a solid clean hour.
Yeah.
And doing things on a nationwide front. Hopefully in that time I'll do something like America's Got Talent or Jimmy Kimmel, or I'm supposed to be doing chocolate Sundays in 2023. So I'm 2026. So that's 3 years from now. Right. And that's my chance at national exposure. So that plus I want to have other opportunities on that same level so that people will find out, like, hear my jokes. Because it's not even necessarily about me getting the exposure. I want my jokes to get the exposure. The way that I think, my thought process, I want that type of thinking, the out-the-box thinking, to hit mainstream audiences. But the next 3 to 5 years, definitely I want to get to the point where I'm doing something, and it doesn't have to be nothing humongous, but just something where the country, the world knows HL Boney exists.
I like it, man. I dig it. Well, HL, man, I really want to appreciate that. I want to say thank you, and I appreciate your time today. Thanks for coming and hanging out with me here on the Bearded Goods podcast. I really enjoyed it. If you want to hang out for just a second, I'm going to close this thing out, and I'll be right back with you. All right. Thanks again, HL. Appreciate you coming by the Bearded Goods studio and hanging out with me today. Enjoyed the conversation. If you enjoyed the conversation, you can catch him live March 9th, 2023 at Good Nights Comedy. Go to goodnightscomedy.com, look at their calendar schedule. You'll see HL's name up there. Buy yourself some tickets. I guarantee you're going to have a great time. All right, thanks again, and until next time, my name is Brandon. We'll catch you on the next episode.